and good afternoon everybody, and welcome to my kitchen in the wilds of snowy Lincolnshire. Just as a little note, I've got some children here homeschooling and a husband who are in the kitchen at the moment making themselves some lunch, but hopefully I'll still be able to cook and show you what I'm going to do without me getting too much in the way. So hello, is that Danny watching? I can see we've got somebody watching already. So I'm going to get started because it's coming up for lunchtime, and I'm looking forward to this spinach and sweet potato curry. Hi Danny. So I'm going to be using, let's just see if no, I can't turn you around I think because I'm on a Facebook Live, so I'm on portrait mode. But I'm going to be using this machine here to make my curry. So this is a Thermomix. Let's just turn you around like that. Hi Dawn. So you can see what I'm doing. Now if you're cooking along, you're just gonna have to bear with me. I'll try and give you instructions for if you're gonna do this on a hob as well. But I'm gonna use this Thermomix device here. I know Danny's gonna use her Thermomix as well. So the benefit of the Thermomix is you've got this interactive touchscreen on the front, and I've got direct access to about 66,000 recipes on here, and those recipes appear step by step on the screen, so it's a bit like having a chef in a kitchen with you telling you what to do, and as long as you follow the results, you've got restaurant quality guarantees, so you really can't go wrong, and it's great for children. Hi Erica. Who else have we got? So hi Dawn. Hi Danny again. So I'm going to call up, I've got my weekly planner already loaded on here, so I can just schedule what I want to cook. I can plan it daily, weekly, monthly, even yearly if I'm that organised in advance. And from there, once I've selected the meals that I'm going to cook, then I can transfer the ingredients of those meals, and this is done automatically, onto a shopping list. That shopping list will be sent to your online store provider, and all of those ingredients will be ordered for direct delivery to your door from your online shopping provider. So it is just a very intelligent and an easy, smart way of cooking. Right, so I'm going to get started with a sweet potato and spinach curry. So hopefully you'll be able to see my screen. Just going to load it, and the recipe appears on the screen. Danny says she's not that organised. No, neither am I. And I still like to shop in person. So I don't do the ingredient ordering service, but a lot of my customers do. Okay, so I'm going to press start cooking. So it's literally going to walk me through this step by step. So now my husband's emptying the dishwasher.
I'm not emptying the dishwasher, I'm getting some cutlery out so that people can have their lunch.
Right, so I'm just going to take you through here and just show you the machine. Okay, so this is going to give me my first instruction, and it's asking me to put 450 grams of cauliflower in florets directly into my Thermomix bowl. So there's my Thermomix bowl. Now, I haven't got 450 grams of cauliflower because nobody else really likes the cauliflower. So I'm just going to make a small portion for me. So I'm going to pop in my cauliflower directly into that bowl. Okay. Click on next. Now it's just telling me, can you see on there? Just put the lid on, it's saying. So let's just hold you there. So I'm going to put the lid on. And then it's going to chop this all up in 3 seconds. So all of our Thermomix recipes are laid out as a function of time, temperature and speed. So if you're making cauliflower rice at home, you'll probably be using a food processor to do that. It might take a little bit longer than 3 seconds. I'm just going to run it for 3 seconds. Oh, what's happened there?
It's all right. Turn on the one.
So you've just so my son, brilliant, has just turned off my Thermomix, which of course now everybody's finding hilarious, because he has just switched on the sandwich toaster. You can't make it up. Don't work with children or animals. Hang on. At least my phone's still operating. So I'm just going to wait for my Thermomix to reboot for a couple of minutes. I'm going to switch the other one on as well. It shouldn't take too long. Here we go. So of course these machines are only as good as the power that you get into them. And it will take just a few seconds to reboot because it's been switched off at the plug. Right, there we are. And it won't like it, so it's going to take me all through the safety instructions. Okay. So I'm just going to resume. So here we go, back in business. So it's chopped up that cauliflower. Just going to give it a little shake around. Okay, and then click on next. Oh, what's happening? Let's redo it because actually it didn't run it for 3 seconds. Cut off after 1 second. So let me have a little look. So it's telling me to scrape down the bowl with the spatula. So I'm just going to pop you onto that cradle there while I go in and pick up a spatula. So if you're cooking along at home, you'll have hopefully have made your cauliflower rice in advance. Jamie, can you open the gates, please, on either your phone? All right, I know it's lunchtime, but I've got somebody's coming down with a delivery. Yeah, brilliant. It's all going wrong. It's all going off this lunchtime. Life is never normally this exciting in my house, but there we go. I've had the power switch off. Now I've got a delivery who can't get in. Brilliant. And I've got uncooperative family members. But there you go, it's locked down. Okay, so my cauliflower rice. It's done. It's asking me just to do that again once I scrape the sides. So just for two seconds. Okay. And then what it's going to ask, what it wants me to do. So if I just move you back there, then you can see this. So click on next. It's asking me to transfer to the varoma dish, leaving some holes unobstructed. So this is our varoma. And this will, am I going to put it on the tray? Yes. So I'm going to put it directly on our steaming unit. So this is going to sit over the main bowl and cook away whilst I'm cooking the curry. So this is all about multifunctional. You know, this machine, you can do multiple things at the same time. So I'm just going to get that out. I'm just using my fingers for speed. There we are. And of course, I'm going to go straight into the curry on the Thermomix machine itself, so I don't need to be too bothered about whether I've cleaned it out or not. So there's my little portion of cauliflower rice. Just going to pop the lid on, and I'm just going to put it over to the side for now. Okay. Then next, so now it's asking me to get on with the main curry. So you can see if I can just put my light back on. That might help. So I'm going to put 20 grams of olive oil into there. And you'll notice I've got weighing scales here. So let me just go and get my olive oil. Oh, it does not like this small tripod. Let's get my olive oil. And you'll notice now I'm just weighing those ingredients straight in. So if you're cooking on a hob, that you'll obviously need to just put your oil into your frying pan now and heat it up. So I'm just going to use, I usually like to use a little bit less oil than the recipe says, and you can add or amend ingredients to suit your dietary requirements. I think we're all trying to be a bit healthier and lose some weight, so I'm just reducing the olive oil just to a tablespoon. Click on next. Now it's asking me to put in an onion quartered. Okay, so normally I do this in advance, but I know you guys are probably cooking along as well. So I'm just going to get my onion. Let's hope this one is not too difficult to peel, because sometimes they can be a bit of a pain. There we are. So the onion, all I need to do is peel an onion and chop it into, it's asking me to chop it into quarters. And it's advising me to put in about 120 grams. So there we go. That's my onion. I'm just going to weigh that in. And I've got 117 grams, so that's absolutely fine. Okay.
Echo.
Right, 2 to 3 garlic cloves. Now that is something I might have to get out the fridge. Here we are, here's my garlic. Now I've got a garlic clove from last night because I did a demo. So here's 1 garlic clove going in. I think I'm just going to put you back actually on here. It's just easier to have it clipped on up there. There we are. I think you can still see the screen as well, can't you? Okay. Right, so I put 1 garlic clove in. And now I've got a second one going in. So just smash that. Drop it in. So hopefully if you're cooking along, you've got time to catch up with me and do this yourself. So 3 garlic cloves in there. Now it's asking me for a red chilli. So it's, as you'll have seen on the screen, it's just walking me through that recipe step by step. What this also means is that if you are, you need to pop out, or you have got an important call that you're going to take, or you just want to go and have a shower, somebody else can come and take over where you left off in the recipe. And actually, you don't need to have that sort of handover, because actually with the Thermomix, you'll see exactly where the person cooking for you has got to, and then it will tell you exactly what you need to do. So that goes in, and then I'm going to put the lid on and chop it all up for 5 seconds at speed 5. So obviously, if you don't have a Thermomix, you can do this in a food processor, or you can do it by hand. But in a Thermomix, it just takes 5 seconds. Okay. So that's what we've got after 5 seconds. So hopefully, Danny, you're keeping up. You might even be a bit ahead of me with your Thermomix. So, and it's asking me to scrape down the sides, because of course when those blades turn, it just kicks it all over to the side. Okay, so scrape down the sides. So it really is like child's play, actually. It makes cooking very easy. It's a bit of a, sometimes it's a little bit difficult for people to get their heads around, especially if people like to cook. And I was one of those people, because I'm a trained chef, and I said I'd never have one of these because it would remove my enjoyment of cooking. But actually I find I can just cook more, and I get my enjoyment and satisfaction now in other ways, and in ways from saving lots of time and getting this machine just to cook for me, and take away some of those really laborious, time-intensive processes, which frankly now I'm a mum of 4 and I run a Thermomix business. I've got better things to do with my time. Rather than stand a hob and lovingly stir a pot caramelising onions, when I've got a Thermomix that will just do it for me and temperature control everything. Okay, so now, case in point, so now it's going to saute those onions for me. So let me show you my display on here. Let's take you off again. And can you see I've got these 3 dials, and I've got time, temperature and speed. So it's preset for 4 minutes, so it's going to saute for 4 minutes at 100 degrees and speed stir. So there we go. So it's just going to stir away for me. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. I don't know if you can see those blades turning in there. Now the blades will rotate in 2 directions. So in one direction when they go, the blade is sharp, so that's where it will chop and it will grind and it will mince. And when it goes in the other direction, the blade is actually blunt. So it's just like a gentle stir. Okay, so let's pop you back up there. And I'm just, while we're doing that, if you're cooking alongside with me, it might take you a few minutes longer on a hob to soften those onions, but I'm just going to go and clear up some of this mess and pop it in the bin, so I am clean and clear for the next step. But this is a really, really simple, straightforward curry. And actually, you know, you won't believe the ingredients. The ingredient list isn't long, but the result and the taste on it is absolutely delicious. And it's vegan, plant-based, and I often do this at demos at face-to-face in people's houses. And even those hardened meat eaters always say that curry is absolutely delicious. And it's very, very simple and very quick to do. So I'm just going to get rid of this and put this in the bin. So while that's cooking away, I'll just show you a little bit extra on my other Thermomix on this screen. Yes, of course, now this one's shut down as well. So let's just get this back so I can show you on my second Thermomix. I'll probably put you into my smaller cradle as well. Let's just get that sorted out. There we are. I mustn't forget, I've got some butternut squash left over from last night. So last night I did a big demo, and I cooked a warm chicken and butternut squash salad. So I had the chicken and the butternut squash steaming through in this unit. Then underneath I had a sweet potato soup. So the sweet potato soup was cooking away in here. Then the residual heat from that was steaming the chicken and the butternut squash in the top. And then I put it all together in a salad with spinach leaves and chickpeas and some raisins and chopped up apricots. And I made this absolutely beautiful cashew nut and lemons and sun-dried tomato and red pepper dressing, which really just took the dish to another level. When I looked at the chicken steamed through, I thought, oh, this isn't going to taste very nice. But once it was mixed in with the dressing that I'd, again, made in Thermomix before I started cooking, it was absolutely delicious. Daniel, could you just be quiet? Thank you. Okay. Right, so let's just show you what's on the rest of my screen here. So here's my home screen with the 3 dials. And I go and I can find, if I want to find my recipes on here, I click on my recipes, and on this machine, so this is called Cookie Do. This is our online recipe planner. So Cookie Do is an app that you can have on your phone or on a laptop or a tablet or on a desktop computer. Hang on a minute, I've got children talking. You've been told to be quiet now. I know you're not saying, but your brother is continuing. Okay. The joys of homeschooling, it's driving me mad. Right. So here's Cookie Do. So Cookie Do is our app containing all our recipes, and the app talks to the machine. So this will synchronise with the machine directly. So on here, I've got both collections of, so these are like folders of recipes that I've created myself. So we've got 66,000 recipes on Cookie Do. And then if I like the look of a recipe, what I'll do is say, oh, brilliant, I'll save that to my healthy folder or my chicken folder or my vegan folder or whatever it is. So you can build up your own recipe collections, which is really helpful. Right, now, my Thermomix has stopped cooking. Danny, have you done this recipe yourself? I don't know if you've done this one, whether we did it at yours at a demo one day. Okay, so that's sauteed away. So you can see you can see it's heating. So this is one of the only devices, if not the only kitchen appliance, which will not only chop and do all those sort of food processor functions, but it also cooks as well. You can see the steam rising. So I've just gently sauteed the garlic and the onion and the chilli together. Okay, so I'm just going to put that like that, and then I'm going to continue with the rest of the recipe. So 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds are going in. So here's my cumin seeds and my teaspoons. So let's put in the 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds straight in. And it's a simple curry. It's absolutely delicious. So hopefully if you're cooking along, if you're going to cook this at some point over the weekend, you'll have had time now to saute the onions, garlic and chilli together, and you'll just be able to add your spices now. So 3 teaspoons of curry powder. Now I've got some curry powder that I've actually made here. I'm going to throw my children in the garden in a minute if they continue making noise. I know who it is. So I've got my own curry blend. So again, with a Thermomix, you can toast and grind your own spices. So I make a lot of my own spice blends, and I make a lot of my own spice pastes as well, ready, that I can keep in a jar in the fridge, ready to make curries with. So I'm just going to add a little bit in of this, my own curry powder. In fact, I think there's probably enough there. I wasn't sure. I do have an emergency one of those, but it might be a little bit too spicy for my children. There we are. And again, so when you've got you've got that control over making your own spices or curry pastes, then you can obviously control the ingredients that you put in there and control that level of heat, which you don't have when you buy it from the store. So I'm going to put the lid on, and it wants me to insert the measuring cup, and then I think it's going to cook again. So can you see here, my screen is preset for 2 minutes at 100 degrees, and it's just going to give it a gentle stir. So off it goes again, cooking out those spices. So there we go. So it's stirring for me. So at this point, I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to stand there. So if I was at a hob cooking like you guys might be, you'd be constantly stirring it, making sure that it didn't, catch on the bottom, burn. I wouldn't really be able to go away and do something else. But at this point, when you've got a Thermomix, because it temperature controls that cooking process, you can just completely move away. Okay, so I just wanted to go back to showing you my collections on here. So here's my screen with the collections. So I've got collections for all sorts of things. And here I wanted to show you the healthy ones. So I've got some recipes because I've recently been on a little bit of a health kick. So I did like a 30-day program alongside a lot of you last January. And I had got some sort of healthy snacks and sort of more healthy recipes that I've stored in my recipe folder. So these look really interesting. For example, I haven't actually made these, but I really want to. I'm not sure whether it would be 30-day compliant because it's got polenta in it. But these are the sort of things that you could obviously do for children. So let's click on sort of start cooking, and it just walks you step by step through the recipe. Yes, so it wouldn't be 30 days because it's got parmesan in it, but you could use nutritional yeast flakes or something like that as a substitute. Some nuts. So it just walks you step by step through that recipe. It's going to blend it all up together. Then you put in your kale, then some basil, then some olive oil. So you can see how that recipe looks. Let's go back into my recipes. So they're my creator collections. I've also got access to collections of recipes that Thermomix put together. So we bring out at least 4 new collections every single month. So our owners have constantly got new recipes to try. So you can see all the sorts of things that I've got on here, loads of interesting looking recipes, and I can just click on that and it will load all those recipes in that book for me to just have a look at and play with. Some of those look really, really nice. Right, okay, so it's stirred away. Here's you can see the steam coming out of there. Now it wants me to add in or weigh in the 600 grams of sweet potato. So let's see if I can just get that to stay. Right. So I cut my potato into quite big chunks just so that because the blades will be turning while they're cooking, just so that it doesn't disintegrate into too small pieces. Although I like to leave a few sort of small, because actually then the sweet potato breaks down and just thickens the sauce naturally. So it's good to have a bit of a combination. So I'm going to weigh in my 600 grams of sweet potato. And you kind of think, actually, if you almost think those pieces are too big, there you go, Danny, then they're along the right, they're the right size. So yeah. You want bigger rather than smaller when it comes to this, because of course the blades will be turning, they'll cook down. Sometimes the sweet potatoes can be quite soft, so you want them in bigger pieces so they stay intact. Okay, now 60 grams of tomato puree. I did have my tomato puree out this morning, but it may well have been put away. So by my husband, who likes to tidy up.
I like having that.
Yes, it's gone back in the fridge. Here we are. Right. So let's get my tomato puree. So you can see my scales on the front. So obviously if you're cooking alongside, you want a reasonably large saucepan so that you can put the sweet potatoes straight in. Then you want to weigh in your tomato puree. That was a good guess. I've got in 70 grams, but that will be fine. Click on next. Now it wants me to add in 500 grams of water. So I'm just going to go and get some water from the tap. And I promise I didn't go and have a weird somebody thought when I was on a Zoom call the other day. Let's pour that in, just weigh it straight in. You'll notice that my scales have reset to 0. Oh, these are really awkward to pour with. So 500 grams of water goes straight in. I'm really looking forward to having this for lunch. So I'm trying to rattle through this as quickly as possible whilst talking to you at the same time. And I don't know, Danny, I can't see the comments if you've cooked it already yourself, but if you haven't, you're in for a real treat. Okay, 500 grams of water. Click on next, and a vegetable stock cube. So I make this vegetable stock paste in my Thermomix. So this is basically made from sort of vegetables that are past their best, bits, odds and ends that you find in your vegetable drawer. You can cook them all down with lots of sugar, make your own stock paste, so you get something for nothing. You wouldn't be able to do this without a Thermomix because you'd have to constantly stir to ensure it didn't catch on the bottom, and the Thermomix will temperature control that whole cooking process. So I'm going to pop in a good dollop of the vegetable stock paste. This has got loads of lovely things in it: celery, carrot, mushrooms, porcini mushrooms, lots of aromatic vegetables and herbs. It really is delicious. And I use that to flavour all my stocks and sauces. So that goes in. You can, of course, use vegetable stock cubes if you want to. Put the lid on, and it's going to cook away for 8 minutes, okay? So you can see that my dal is 8 minutes, 100 degrees, and with just a gentle stir. So let's just set that off. It hasn't asked me to put the cauliflower rice on at this point in time, but when we get to the next part of the cooking process, I'm hoping it will ask me to do that. I'm just going to check my recipe, so you're just going to have a look down at the method, just to check where I am. Add sweet potatoes, tomato puree, and then cook it. Then, after 8 minutes cooking, I'm going to put this on top with my cauliflower rice on. So obviously, if you're not using a Thermomix to cook along, you would just have to perhaps microwave or steam your cauliflower rice separately. But the beauty of this machine is it will do it all for you in one go. So it will save on energy and washing up as well. So I'm going to let that cook away. That's going to cook for about 8 minutes. And then once we put the cauliflower rice on, it's just going to cook for another 8 minutes. So really, you could rattle through this curry and have a decent sort of restaurant quality curry on the table in about, well, certainly in less than 25 minutes, but maybe in around 20 minutes. Okay, so while that's cooking away, I thought I'd just do something else with you, just to show you another type of recipe. And this is a great one. I understand from Danny it's not plan friendly if you're on the 30 days, but it's certainly something that you could have as a sort of a healthier treat afterwards once you've finished being on the 30 days. So I'm just going to clear that away again. Get that out of the way. Take my garlic over there. And we're going to make some cocoa and orange bars now, or cacao and orange bars. Now, if you've ever seen those naked bars in the supermarket, they're very popular. They cost quite a lot of money. I did some cost comparisons a few weeks ago, and I worked out that if I made my own version, I would save myself, and the amount that my children eat, I think it was something ridiculous, like £30 a month. So that's where really this sort of machine comes into its own, because there's lots and lots of inspiration there for you to discover new recipes. When you become a Thermomix owner, you also join a fantastic community. And we've got quite a lot of Arbonne consultants and customers that are also Thermomix owners, because we find it complements the Arbonne eating plan really, really well. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to use this machine here. And I want you to see my screen, because now what I want to do is just go into my week again, because I've already planned it in for today. So my recipe will appear on my screen, and I'm going to select, can you see on here, I've got these cacao and orange bars like that. So I'm just going to press start cooking. Yes, and now it's going to walk me through it step by step. So it's telling me to line a tin with cling film, which is actually something I haven't done. So I'm just going to wander off and get that straight away. Hopefully I've got my tin to hand. There we are. Get some cling film. I'm afraid there's probably no getting away from the cling film here. You might be able to do it with sort of silicone paper. But if you're environmentally conscious, I'm not sure what the alternative to cling film would be. I usually do a double layer. So I'm going to put the cling film in, like this. This is just one of the world's worst cling films, I have to say. I battle with that. There we are. My box is falling apart as well. Alright, so that's just nicely lined with a double layer of cling film, ready for my cocoa and orange bars. Okay, so I followed that first step, then click on next, add 160 grams of cashew nuts. So here we are. So So they're going to go straight in. Where I can find them. Let's take that out. So the cashew nuts go straight in. You can see my scales are just weighing them directly, so I don't need to have a separate set of weighing scales. All right, so straight in. Just cashew nuts, and I usually buy mine from Lidl or from the Whole Food market store in Grantham. Then it's asking me to put the lid on, insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, and it's going to blast those at speed 10 for 30 seconds. So this will make quite a loud noise. I'm not going to be able to talk for those 30 seconds. That's probably a good thing. Here we are. I'll just put you backwards like that, and then I'm going to go and get my coat. Away. I've just gone and got a couple of other things out of the cupboard to show you. So you can see that I've pretty much ground those cashew nuts down into almost like a cashew butter in 30 seconds. So that just really shows you the sort of the power and the speed with which the Thermomix works, which is one of the things I love about it, because it means if you love cooking like me, you can actually get more stuff done. I remember trying to make nut butters with an old food processor of mine, and I was there for ages, constantly scraping down the sides, rerunning it. I can make nut butters in sort of less than 2 minutes, really, with a Thermomix. So this is my cashew butter ground down. In here, I've got, this is some cashew butter that I made last weekend. I roasted the cashew nuts and ground them in the Thermomix. And then you can do things like make your own tahini. So this is sesame seed paste. Again, same principle. I just put all my sesame seeds in there. I toasted them in the Thermomix first, ground them down into a paste. So let's just move those out of the way. Click on next. Right, it's asking me to scrape down the sides, and then it wants me to add on 160 grams of dates. So let's get those weighed in. Let's just move you forward so you can see my screen again, because that's a bit more interesting. Okay. 160 grams of dates. I must have some open ones. So I don't bother generally using the mature ones. As long as you get dates that are lovely and soft and squishy, then it will work. And I, again, find these little ones brilliant. But I'm sorry if I'm tempting you and you're not allowed to eat them whilst you're on your 30-day plan. Right, let's just weigh in the rest of them. What am I up to? 150. I've never eaten so many dates, actually. But it's kept me off the chocolate, so that's a good thing. So there you go in. Click on next. Add 50 grams of raisins. So here you are. And again, you'll notice my scales have reset to 0. So I'm just going to come along and put my raisins in. 50. And 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder, unsweetened. So you can use cacao if you want to. I am just going to use cocoa powder because I don't have any cacao. I used it all up last week and then forgot to buy some more, even though I went to the health food shop the other day. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you will not believe how simple these are. Okay, I'm just going to click on next and then just hold it there. So now it's asking me to zest some oranges. So I'm going to move you back to this Thermomix because it's beeped at me. You might have picked that up in the background. It's finished that 8-minute cooking time and it's told me that it wants me to do something else with it. So can you see I'm not standing there stirring it, make sure it's not catching on the bottom. I don't have to think about it. It's out of my mind. It's brilliant. So now what it wants me to do is put the covered varoma into position. So just have a little peek in there. If you can see, the sweet potatoes have started to cook away in that beautiful spiced tomato sauce. And then I'm going to put the Varoma on top. So this has got, for those if you weren't watching earlier, this has got my cauliflower rice in the top. So it's going to steam this cauliflower rice. Now sometimes I find, depending on how much rice you're doing at the time, and I know Danny you're not doing the cauliflower rice because I think you're going to do quinoa instead, you may need to cook it for slightly longer. So sometimes when I'm at demos face to face, I often cook it for the full 16-minute cooking time, but I've only got a little bit in here, so I'm going to just do it for the 8 minutes like it suggests. So it's just going to cook away now for another 8 minutes. There we go. So that is going to continue to cook my curry, and it's going to steam my cauliflower in the Varoma attachment at the top. So while that's cooking away for 8 minutes, I'm just going to continue doing these naked cocoa and orange bars, and really these are absolutely delicious. So the next, I believe the next instruction on here is 2 oranges zested. It's my tripod. Very stable, this one. There we are. Let's just try and move those legs out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to just get 2 oranges out here. A pair of scissors, because of course they're still in their packaging. Just give them a quick rinse. And a little dry off. And then get my zester out. Now often if I'm baking and I've got sugar to grind up, I can just peel the oranges using a vegetable, or lemons using a vegetable peeler, put them in with the sugar, and I can grind down the zest with the sugar. But obviously I'm not using any sugar, so I can't do that today. So I'm just going to have to get my grater out. It does pay me when now I have a Thermomix that I have to use sometimes I still have to use other pieces of equipment that I have to wash up afterwards, because one of the benefits of the Thermomix is not only does it plan for you and cook for you, it also washes up for you. So I'm just going to zest my orange like this beautiful, really rich, deep orange colour. It smells amazing. When I do this, it always makes me think it smells like Christmas. As much zest as I can off of here. And again, I like zesting because it means every part of that fruit is used, doesn't it? So I'll be able to either juice these oranges or eat them a bit later on. Okay. I get out of the habit of grating, actually. Having a Thermomix to grate for you in the right recipe means often I don't have to do this, and I forget actually how time consuming it can be. There we are. And you just want, when you zest, you just want to take out that outer layer of skin. You don't want any of the pithy bits underneath because they're very, very bitter. So let's just pop in as much zest as possible. Okay. Like that. So here's my zest from the 2 oranges. That goes into my cashews and my dates. And the cashews have almost been ground to butter already. Okay, click on next, and now it's wanting me to put the lid on. Before I do that, I am just going to see if I've got it to hand, I'll put it in. If I haven't, I won't. But I do quite like to just put a couple of drops of orange oil in there, just to really boost and enhance that flavour. I never can remember which cupboard it goes in, so just bear with me. See if I can find it. No, I don't think I'm going to be in luck. I'm just going to look at one other cupboard. covered an awful lot, so things get back and pushed to the back. No, I can't find it. Okay, so if I had my orange oil, I'd put it in there, but I don't. All right, so put the lid on, and now it's going to just blast it for 30 seconds at speed 8. So there we are, 30 seconds. I'm just going to let it whirl away. Okay, so that's just ground down for 30 seconds. Now I need my spatula. So it's not quite there. Let's just put the rest of the orange zest in. Give it a little stir. See, so I've got sort of a chocolatey looking powder, and if I squish it together in my hands, it will form like a sort of a stiff paste. So what it wants me to do now is scrape those sides and then mix again, but actually I think that's pretty good now. I'm just going to mix it again for maybe 10 seconds. The danger is if you mix this too much, you end up, I'm just going to take that time to 10 seconds, you end up getting too much oil out of the nuts, and then it can become a little bit greasy. Right, so I've just run it for another few seconds. That seems fine. And then all I'm going to do is just tip it into my prepared tin. So that comes out like that. And I've got a lovely clean bowl, it's come out beautifully. And then just press it into the tin like this. So if I can just angle you down a little bit. And these are absolutely delicious. So I made them a few weeks ago when I was on my health eating plan and doing veganuary, and I just fancied something a little bit sweet, and I could not believe how much like the naked cocoa and orange bars they tasted, and also how much cheaper they were to make. So I worked out I was going to save myself about £30 a month. Well, that's because all my children will eat them as well, by making my own. So, you know, that's the whole premise of the Thermomix really, is that yes, it's a bit of an investment, but actually we know if you are using it to its full potential and taking advantage of the whole bank of recipes, and you have an advisor as well to sort of walk you step by step through the process when you become a Thermomix owner, you will get much more value out of that Thermomix than what you pay for. So yes, it might cost a little bit to start with, but in the medium term you will get that back, and you will get that back in spades. And most of my customers will reckon they save at least 10 if not £50, and we're talking per week off their shopping bills. So there we go, that's my cocoa and orange bars. And then my curry is cooked, so it's asking me to remove the varoma. So here you can see I've steamed away. Can you see all that steam coming out? I've steamed my cauliflower rice just for the 8 minutes. I'm going to remove that now. And then click on next. And you'll notice that I've actually used the tray for the varoma, the lid rather, as a tray, just to catch any water that will drip off of the base. Now it wants me to add in 200 grams fresh spinach leaves. Okay, so let's just put that over to one side. I'll just get my chopping board back, And what I'm going to do, and if you're cooking along with me, hopefully you'll have been able to cook in real time if you're using a saucepan and a hob, but this will just give you a little bit of an opportunity to catch up with me. I am going to I'm just going to chop up those spinach leaves, because actually I find I don't really like spinach when it wilts and it goes a little bit stringy, and neither do my children. So I could just put them in the Thermomix to start with and get the Thermomix to chop for me, but I don't mind a bit of chopping here and there. It's nice to remind yourself what it's like to cook rather than have a sous chef do it for you. So I'm just going to chop up this spinach into smaller pieces, because I find then it loses that sort of stringiness, which can be a little bit off-putting. So let's just chop that up. And of course, if you wanted to here, you could chop up some coriander as well and put that in. That would just add another sort of flavour profile to it and change the flavour a little bit. Give it that sort of almost citrusy edge. I love coriander in curries. So hopefully I haven't got the best knife for this, and my board is very small. I usually like to have a bigger board, but I can't fit it in between my two Thermomixes. So there we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to get those big pieces and the stems out of the way. So it probably won't be quite 200 grams because I used a little bit last night, but there's enough in there. So I'm just going to take the lid off of my Thermomix, so you can see on the front there I've got 200 grams fresh spinach leaves. Let's just show you what it looks like. So that's what my curry looks like at the moment. I'm going to just add in the spinach. Oh, come on, tripod. Balance. So that goes in. And then I'll probably chop up a little bit more afterwards and add it in, maybe with like I say, with a bit of coriander. And what it's going to ask, a little bit of sea salt or to taste. So let's get my pink Himalayan sea salt. I'll pop that in. An extra bit of salt. You don't have to add this. Again, it's to taste. And then I'm going to need a spatula, I think. Pinch of pepper. I could pop a little bit of pepper in, couldn't I? Everybody's always really intrigued with my pepper grinder. So just an electric one. Means I don't have to keep twisting it. There we go, a little bit of pepper going in. And now I'm just going to stir that spinach in just to make sure it gets thoroughly incorporated. And some of the sweet potato is breaking down, which is really nice to see. Some of it is still in lovely big chunks. Can you see that? I've got a nice big chunk there. So that when the sweet potato breaks down, it will naturally thicken the curry. So it's just wanting me to put that varoma on again, and it's just going to cook it and wilt that spinach for a couple of minutes. So let's pop the varoma on to steam the cauliflower rice just for a couple of minutes. So my dials are telling me it's going to take 2 minutes. It's chosen the varoma temperature, and it's just a sort of a slow speed, a slow stirring speed. Okay, so in 2 minutes time that curry has been ready to eat. So really, I know we sort of started a few minutes late, but in kind of half an hour, if I hadn't been talking, you could really rattle through this dish in 25 minutes, and you would have a super healthy, beautiful curry cooked from scratch on your table in less than half an hour. And I have to say, it's one of these things that you kind of think, oh, it doesn't sound that, it doesn't sound like it's going to be super tasty. And especially when you look at the ingredient list and you think, oh, tomato puree, cumin seeds, curry powder, it's not using any particularly exciting ingredients, but the flavour on this is absolutely delicious, and even more satisfying that actually it was very, very simple to make. So let's just let that cook down for another minute. There's my cocoa and orange bar. So I really hope you've enjoyed this session. If you're interested in finding out more about the Thermomix, then please do give me a shout. Danny's obviously got my details, so she can connect us. But you know, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about it, what it can do. You'd be very welcome to join my customer group on Facebook. It's called Thermomix Whiz Customer Group, so you can search for that. And you can follow what I do on Instagram as well. And yes, if you are looking for something perhaps to help you out in the kitchen, give you a little bit more time, make cooking fun, inspire you to cook, then this machine right here is what you're looking for. Great for people that can't cook, don't want to cook, don't have time to cook. Also great, or don't enjoy cooking, but also great for people like me, as a trained chef. So all the professionals use these. You will find Thermomixes in every Michelin-starred restaurant pretty much across the world, and they use them because there's simply nothing better in the kitchen. So don't be put off by the fact you think that it's going to remove all that cooking pleasure from you. It absolutely doesn't. I can guarantee from first-hand experience you will find that joy in cooking, probably even more so with a Thermomix. Right, so I'm just going to use another lid to decant my Varoma down onto. And it's just telling me, it gives me a little serving suggestion at the end. So it says, serve the sweet potato curry hot with the cauliflower rice. So let's just take that off and I'll show you what it looks like there. So that looks absolutely delicious. I can't wait to have that for my lunch. Let's just plate up a little bit as well. So Danny, if you kept up, if you're still watching, I can't actually see who's watching and who isn't at the moment. Okay, right, let's plate this up. A little bit of my cauliflower rice. And this is the sort of thing we would do at a demo. So, you know, eventually when we come back face to face, we go around to people's houses and we ask them to invite a few people round, and we all cook together and cook often a 3 or 4 course meal, including bread and a drink, just to really show off what the Thermomix can do. At the moment, we're doing it all online. So if you are interested in finding out more, I do lots of online demos. In fact, next Saturday, I've got a free from cooking class coming up next Saturday, the 20th in the afternoon at 2 o'clock. So we're going to be doing lots of gluten and dairy-free staples, things like gluten-free bread, some cashew cream cheese, plant-based milk. So you can obviously do your plant-based milk in there. I'm going to do those naked chocolate and orange bars again. I'm going to do gluten-free pasta and a beautiful plant-based pasta sauce. And we're doing some turmeric wellness shots as well. So if you want details of that, I'll ask Danny to share the information. Right, so let's get this plated up. I'm sure you're all desperate to eat. You can see, if I can just get that. There we are. Oops-a-daisy. Clean off my bowl where I've got a little bit around the outside. There we are, and I can just pop, I've got a little bit of coriander. Let's pop a little bit of coriander on the top. So that is sweet potato and spinach curry with cauliflower rice, and as a little treat, your naked cocoa and orange bars, which I'm just going to set in the fridge, and then I'll be able to cut them up in portions. So I do hope you've enjoyed today's cook along, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thank you.